I've been tracing the history of my grandma Sis through her mother, Tina Layton, and her mother, Jemima Curry, born in Virginia in 1853. Though the first true record I could find of Jemima wasn't until nearly 30 years later in 1880. She was living near the Chesapeake Bay in Whitestone, Virginia, with her husband, George Layton, who worked as an oysterman. This is the region where my grandmother was born and the inspiration for the first family recipe I'm sharing with you today, oyster pie, which I am so excited about. Actually, look at these oysters. I was able to source some fresh Virginia oysters here in Chicago. So we've got our oysters, we got our pie crust, and we're gonna start on this pie in a minute. Because I was still curious if I could find anything else about those first 30 years of Jemima's life. So looking through all of the surrounding entries in 1880, I came across an Edmund Curry actually living down the block from Jemima. And remembering that her death certificate listed her father's name as an Edmund Curry, I decided to search his name. That led me to a record in the 1870 census, I think I mentioned that in the last video, as well as a few other death certificates. One was for an Annie Murphy and a Hannah Penn, with Edmund Curry listed as the father and the question mark as the mother. This was curious to me. Could it be that Jemima actually had two sisters, one older, one younger? But that's a question for later. We gotta start this pie. Starting with onion. To be honest, this is a pretty simple pie. It has onion, celery, garlic, scallions, parsley. Again, a bit of a humble pie, but there's a lot of flavor in the preparation, and just the oyster flavor itself really comes through. This kind of reminds me of if there was an oyster chowder in a pie. That's essentially what oyster pie is. Now, when I think about recipes like this, I often think about where or when we started using the vegetables. For example, celery. Celery was brought over by the Europeans. It's not native to the Americas. And interestingly, around this time, in the 19th century, it was kind of a big deal. Celery was a status symbol. People would have celery in glass vases. You say vase or vase? Vase. But they would have them in dishes to sort of show off and display that they had celery. Just interesting because I think most people could probably care less about celery. Anyways, we're gonna roll out our dough, finish our filling, get this pie in the oven, and I'll see y'all in the next one.